We have breaking news regarding some movement in the NBA. This one, former All-Star Blake Griffin. If you've been following Blake's story with the Detroit Pistons, then you knew that the writing was on the wall. Griffin is making about $37 million this year. Next year in his contract, he has a player option for about $39 million. Pistons are currently one of the worst teams in the NBA if you look at the record. They've made it no secret that they are rebuilding. They want to give the young players as much time as possible on the floor. They want to develop those guys, see what they have, and a guy like Blake Griffin is just not in the plans for the Pistons. So let's face it, the Pistons aren't going to be making the playoffs or have a deep playoff run for at least the next several years. So a guy like Blake Griffin on the team really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. This is a guy who wants to be on a winning team. He wants to go to the playoffs. He wants to compete for a championship. So with this contract buyout, it allows Griffin the opportunity to search for a new home and find the team where his talents can be best utilized. And it looks like that team is going to be the Brooklyn Nets. According to several sources, they are the favored destination for Griffin. So in today's video, I'm breaking down what this new Nets roster will look like with Blake Griffin. Does it make sense? And what can we expect for Griffin for the rest of this season? And what can we expect for the Nets as they compete for a title? Guys, thanks for tuning in to the channel today. My name is Troy. If it's your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure those notification bells are turned on so you never miss another video. I do breaking news videos like this all the time on the channel. I'll do live videos on the channel. I do anything and everything NBA related. Would love to have you be a part of the community that we have here. Also, leaving a like is a great way to let me know and let YouTube know that you are enjoying this type of content. Click that thumbs up button and help support the channel. So when I first read the news about Blake Griffin joining the Nets, at first glance, I thought this looked like a really good move. You already have Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Kevin Durant, all-stars and former MVPs in their own right. Now you're adding another former all-star in Blake Griffin. What I really like about this move is that Blake Griffin isn't going to be expected to be the number one option on this team as he was with the Clippers or with the Pistons. And that's good because at this point in his career, Blake Griffin is not suited for that. He's more of a third option, maybe even a fourth option on a really good team. Looking at his stats this year for Detroit, played 20 games, started 20 games, averaged about 30 minutes per, a little over 12 points, 5 rebounds, and about 4 assists. Didn't shoot it very well from the field, about 36%. Same story from three-point range, at over 6 attempts per game, shooting about 30%. So the question is this the type of player that Blake Griffin is right now? Because if you look at last year, he had very similar numbers, about 15.5 points per game, about 5 rebounds, about 3 assists. But going back to the 2018-2019 season, that was the season where he was actually healthy. He played 75 games, 35 minutes per game, averaged over 24 points per game, over 7 rebounds per game, and over 5 assists per game. He was even named an All-Star that year and helped Detroit make it to the playoffs. And no, I don't think Blake Griffin is going to get to that level of production, but I think if he can equal or even go a little bit above the production he's had over the last couple years, that would be huge for the Nets. One thing the Nets need is size, and when you add a player like Blake Griffin, who's about 6'9", 6'10", 250 pounds to that lineup, that's going to give a lot of versatility and a lot of other options for Brooklyn. Right now, the Nets are starting Durant at the 4 spot. You've got DeAndre Jordan at center. And then Jeff Green is really the only other big man that you have. I think adding Griffin to the mix gives you more options in the lineup. And I think when you add a big playmaker, and that's who Blake Griffin can be. I mean, he averages over 4 assists per 36 minutes this season. When you put him at the 4 or the 5 and allow your big 3 to focus on scoring, that could be a really nice lineup, especially come playoff time. And Blake Griffin is going to be surrounded by more elite scorers than he's ever had while in the NBA. That could really rejuvenate his game. Just imagine running a pick and roll, Blake Griffin with James Harden, or Blake Griffin with Kyrie Irving. That gives more opportunity for scoring or finding open shooters. So even though we may not be seeing the low post scoring threat that Blake Griffin has been famous for, I think he can add to their offense in other ways by passing out of the post or hitting the open man who's standing out behind the three-point line. I think on the defensive end, there could be some questions because Blake Griffin has never been what you would call a defensive force. But then again, you're not signing him to be a defensive stopper. But I think he'll actually make an effort in that area, especially now that he's playing for something and might have a little more motivation for a championship run. I would expect to see a more pick and roll heavy offense when Griffin is in the lineup. DeAndre Jordan, for instance, currently shooting a career best 76%, playing along a facilitator like James Harden. Blake Griffin gives the Nets another option for this offensive scheme. He's also been expanding his game for years since he left the Clippers. In Detroit, Blake Griffin has worked tirelessly on his jumper, and his three ball is a bit more consistent, and you can expect he'll be getting a lot more open looks with the Nets as opposed to what he got with the Pistons. I would expect those three-point numbers to tick up just a little bit. I already had the Nets as the favorite to come out of the Eastern Conference. I think this Blake Griffin signing just ups those chances even more. I'm reminded of when Bill Walton was the sixth man on those Celtics championship teams decades ago. He'd been very injury prone in his career, but once he found that role off the bench, it brought his game to another level. Who knows, maybe the same thing will happen with Blake Griffin. But this is a very low risk, high reward situation for both the Nets and for Griffin. Guys, I need you to tell me what you think in the comments. If you're a Nets fan especially, I want to hear from you. What do you think about this Blake Griffin signing? Do you think it's one of those things where he'll end up starting by the end of the year? Would you rather him start at the 5 over DeAndre Jordan? And what do you think he can bring to this team now that he's surrounded by more all-star players and has that extra motivation to compete for a championship? If it's your first time here, make sure you are subscribed to this channel so you never miss another NBA video. Make sure you drop a like while you're here as well. Help support the channel. And check out the boxes on the screen right now for more NBA content just like this. Thanks for watching. This is Troy with the Half Court Report, and I'll see you next time.